Hi guys, it's Andrea here. I'm just touching base in today again for another one of our, lunch and learn type things for a Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do if you're newly engaged to help with your planning process. So just a few little tips and tricks that I've heard. I'm not a wedding planner, obviously, but I have been to a lot of weddings and I've worked with a lot of couples that have gotten married over the last few years, and definitely have some insight from them on some of the things that you can do when you're planning a wedding. So just wanted to do a little shout out to anybody who's here. So if you are here today, please feel free to type some comments into the section of the comments so that I can kind of have a conversation with you. If you have other information that you think is a good tip or a trick, something that people should be aware of, type it in there too, or if you have a question, I'll do my best to answer them along the way as well. So definitely want to make sure that this is an interactive process, and want to make sure that you have the opportunity to engage with me through the questions that we're going through today. So first off, if you are newly engaged, congratulations. I see right now I've got Lena coming in here, and that's awesome. And I know you were just engaged a couple of days ago now, so super excited. So my sister Lena has a videography business called splashfilms.ca, so you should definitely check that out as well. But she's been videoing weddings for a while, and she is actually just recently got engaged as well. So she's going to be planning a wedding as well, which is pretty cool. And Laura, thanks for tuning in. Awesome. I'm so happy you're back. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, definitely want to give you a few tips about things that you can think about for an engagement session. Please definitely chirp in if you've got some other pieces of information you want to share as well. So first off, one of the first things that people often have to think about, or first want to start thinking about when they do get engaged, they're so excited about their engagement and they're telling everybody they're engaged, and all of a sudden everybody's asking when, where, when's this going to happen? Have you set a date? What's the date? And before you know it, you're already into like having to make decisions about what to do for a wedding date and where you want to have your wedding. So one of the first things you're going to have to figure out is setting that wedding date. So a little tip that I've seen over the years, and I know a few people have taken advantage of, is if you choose a date that's not a Saturday for your wedding, you can actually benefit quite a bit financially from that. So I know a lot of the larger halls and like even some of the golf clubs and whatnot where people have weddings regularly, they charge a premium rate for Saturday weddings. But on Fridays, they will charge less. It's a discounted price. The same with Sunday weddings. So some people will do a Sunday wedding, and then they'll do it often on a long weekend, so they know their guests still have the Monday off, so they can still stay late and party. But it does save a little bit of money if you don't actually have to have a Saturday. You'll find this with the vendors, not just the reception or the venue. It'll be with a lot of the vendors. Some of the different vendors will offer you a discount as well. So make sure if you are getting married on a Friday or an off Saturday day that you do ask about that and see whether that's an option for you. Another thing the next thing that people often have to start thinking about is a budget. So how you want to spend your money for the wedding day, which is, that's probably one of the toughest things that people have to work with. And often you're thrown into all these different environments. You see different things that you want to include in your wedding, and it just isn't going to fit in your budget. So just start to think about a number of what you want to spend on your wedding. Some of the biggest things that people need to spend their money on for their wedding day tend to be their reception venue, their photographer and their videographer, decorations and florals are a big thing as well, that people do sink quite a bit of money into that, because that is the whole experience of the day and usually the mood that you want to set. Some people actually work with a planner for their wedding day, and that is a huge stress off of the bride and groom. If they have someone kind of just planning the day, you tell them what you want and they do the grunt work for you. So it's a huge help if you have someone there that can do that for you. However, it is a service that you're going to have to pay for. Some people also will choose to do, instead of doing a planner through the whole process of their engagement, some people will choose to do just a planner, a day of coordinator that's a planner. So they'll come there for the day of. So you just have that extra set of hands through the day that if there's anything that needs to be done, any last little details that you want to make sure are done correctly, they're on it. And that's the kind of their job for the day. So it's super helpful if you do have someone that's appointed to kind of be your day of coordinator. Even, I mean, it's great to have a professional that knows what they're doing, but if you don't have a professional to do it, you can also just find someone to do it that you feel you trust, that's organized, that's going to take care of these things for you, to keep things moving for you. There's tons of other things that you need to consider for your budget. Some of them are like optional things, some of them are not. So it just depends on the type of wedding you're going to have. Some of the things I have listed here are the entertainment, the dress and suit or tux, of course. You want to think about how much all this stuff is going to cost. So if you take all of the different aspects of what you need to think about for your budget, whether it's transportation, your reception venue, the gifts for your attendants, your honeymoon, your planner, your rings, all these things, take them all, list them all down and think, okay, what's most important to me? Do I want to do, what do I feel is the most important part of my wedding? Do I want to put 50% of my budget towards that because it's such a big component? And maybe that would be like your reception venue with your meals and everything for your guests. And then you think, okay, photography is really important to me. So how much of my budget do I want to put into that? Because that's something that's really important as well. Other things you want to think about are like your hair and makeup, things that people don't always think about that are going to come up down the road. The paper stuff, like the invitations, the menus on the tables, the programs, the little name cards, those types of things. Those are all things that people have to budget in as well. So it starts to add up after a little bit. So you just really want to have a good plan of like how much percentage, how important is this to me? How much percentage of my budget do I want to put towards this? So just moving on from budget, nobody loves talking about budgets for too long, so we're going to move on from that. Another thing that I've heard is a really good suggestion to start to think about your wedding planning is to start to create a mood board or like a vision board almost, where you might get just a big cork board and start tacking photos and things that you love to it. And you can do this through Pinterest, of course, as well, rather than print things out. But you can just start tacking up things like the bouquets that you love, the style of dresses you love, the style of wedding bands you love, the different style of photos that you love. So different like styles of photography that you really would like to see at the end of the day from your wedding, the venue setups, this place settings, like all these little things that you're going to see as you're planning your wedding. You can start pinning them to a Pinterest board or creating your own mood board and getting a good vision for what you want to see out of your wedding day. So that's kind of a cool way to kind of get that feel going and start to organize what you want as your end result for the wedding day. Another thing I was going to mention is that a lot of people are doing wedding registries now. So you could do wedding registries online, of course. You can do them in store, which is what we've traditionally done. Now there is a lot more wedding registries being done online. So there was one website, I think it's zola.com. You can do your online registry on there, which is pretty cool. So you can actually coordinate your gifts and people can buy there and you can see what's been bought and whatnot. So that's kind of a helpful thing. Other things that do happen sometimes too is sometimes your vendors offer registries. So I know for my clients, I do have a registry program. So if you are getting married and you are hoping to get maybe albums and canvases and art for your walls out of your photography, but it's not something that's right in your budget right now, you can actually create your own wedding registry through my website. So I give you the information to do that. And then you can put that information either on your online website that your guests will come to, or you can put it in your shower invites and they can actually go to that website and they can buy you gift certificates towards the different products that you want to purchase from the photography studio. So that's a great option as well, to try and help with some of the costs of the things that you want from your wedding. I'm pretty sure there's a few other vendors that do something similar, but I know that it is something that we do offer here at Splash. So a couple other little tips. These are simple little things I'm just going to add in here. One of the things, if you're getting a lace-up dress or a dress that's tricky to do up as a bride, my biggest suggestion, I've seen so many people struggle with lacing up that dress on the wedding day. One of my biggest suggestions for people is to take a video when you are getting your dress laced up by the person that works in the store that knows what they're doing. So just have somebody take a quick video on their phone so they can actually take a look at it while they're lacing up your dress on the wedding day. So it's something that is an awesome way that you can actually really be sure you're doing it up right, because once you get up all the way up that lacing of the dress and you realize something's not quite right, you have to unlace the entire thing again. And that's a little bit frustrating. And can take a long time. So it's good if you can actually do that, take a video, and then you can have something to refer to. So a couple other things. Often when people get engaged, they do end up going to wedding shows, bridal shows, things like that. So one of my other tips is that you're going to probably want to make a wedding day email address. And the reason you're going to want to do this is because when you actually start going to these wedding shows, they're going to ask you, everybody at every booth is going to ask you for your contact information, for whether it be for a draw or whether it's going to be for something that you can, just something that they can follow up with you to see if you've made any decisions. It's a really good idea to have a separate email address, because you are going to be giving that information out to potentially hundreds of people, and all of a sudden your email inbox is going to be flooded with people trying to contact you to either get you to book their services or just to give you more information. And I'm sure that the information is useful and you probably do want to use it, but it's a good idea to have it go to a separate email account so that you can view that on your own terms. Once you've actually booked your people, you can definitely, once you've booked them and you've chosen who you're going to go with, you can definitely give them your real email address, because you're going to want to keep in touch with them on a regular basis. But I just don't want to be flooded or feel like you're being spammed all the time by a million different things coming in. So it's just a really good idea to create a wedding specific email address. And I know I've had a lot of clients do that as well. Another thing that you want to start thinking about, and this is kind of a fun thing for me too, is to start thinking about a wedding hashtag. So with social media the way that it is now, and everybody posting everything on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and whatnot, it's such a great way for, even as a photographer, if I take a picture of you guys at an engagement session and I post it and I know you have a wedding hashtag, I can put that hashtag in, so you guys can keep do a search and kind of keep a track of all of the images throughout your engagement right up to your wedding day. And I have clients that I know continue to use that hashtag even as their family starts to grow and whatnot. And what a cute story to be able to look back in your Instagram photos, to go to that hashtag, look at all the pictures, and just watch from the very beginning as your family starts from the very engagement right up until the day that you guys start having children. So it's kind of a fun thing to do. And if you do end up creating a wedding hashtag, make sure you let your vendors know about it so that we can have a little fun with that and play with that. Make sure that you guys are knowing the photos that we are using for that, or so you can know that we're posting photos, and you can actually see them after we've posted them just by searching through that hashtag and keeping up with it. So another little thing that I'm going to mention too is to be sure that you have an address, whether it's an address stamp. You can go to Staples and get an address stamp, or start printing out labels with your address, whether it's your probably just your email address and your telephone number, but sometimes your mailing address as well is helpful. You're going to end up needing to share your email address with so many people when you go to those bridal shows and whatnot. So instead of having to write it out every time, it's great if you just have it on a label and you can stick it on those ballots that you're entering all those draws for. You also are going to need to, if you get an address stamp for your home address, you can utilize that for your invites, for your return address labels on your invites. You can also use it as the actual label for your little envelopes that you get your RSVPs in as your address, your mailing address. So anyways, so that's just another little stick trick that you would maybe want to think about using as you're going through all those bridal shows and planning and whatnot. And those stamps, they're not very much. I'm going to say maybe $20 or $30 at the most to get your own personalized address stamp. So something that might be worth looking into. Another thing that I'm going to mention is the benefits of having a website. So a wedding website with a few images of you and your significant other, and just sharing some of the details about who you are, how you guys got engaged. This is us. This is our wedding day. This is what we're going to do. So it's great that we can actually we can get to know you a little bit through that site. So whether it's just for your guests, I know I love going to my clients' websites and just kind of getting to know them better and getting to know who they are. And so I love that that people do that, and it gives us a chance to really feel comfortable with the people that we're working with. So those websites are also a great way to RSVP back to the wedding or to showers. So people will actually RSVP through the website, and they don't necessarily have to mail an RSVP back. So that's super helpful too. I know snail mail is getting harder and harder for people to seem to get to. So if anything that you can do to make things happen online seems to be a lot easier. I just want to do a shout out to Dana and to Lara. I see that you guys are there. So thanks so much for watching. Love you guys. So I'm just going to move on to the next point here. As far as other tips, just something that I think a lot of engaged couples, or mostly probably brides, do is they think they can do everything on their own, and they just try to do everything. They want to kind of manage it all to make sure it's done a specific way. I just encourage everyone to ask for help, because it's such a busy time, and your family and friends are just dying to help because they want to be involved any way that they can. So definitely make sure that if you are going through that whole planning process and there's things that are like tedious that you know somebody else could do and would just save you time, ask for help. People are always happy to help you, and they just want to feel like they're contributing. So don't rob them of that. Give them that chance to do that, and give yourself that freedom as well. I already mentioned too the day of coordinator. That was my next point. Just kind of wrap up with a couple other little things here. One of them is to try your best not to have to deal with too much money on the day of the wedding day. So I think it's really great if you can either pay your vendors ahead of time or make an arrangement to pay them afterwards. I know for my wedding day, it drove me bananas that we had to carry around all these envelopes of money and be giving people money on the day of the wedding, and then trying to make sure that we were getting receipts so we knew the money went. And it was just, it's frustrating because you really want to enjoy your wedding day and spend it with your family and friends, not feeling like you were going out trying to make transactions happen. So if you can take care of that ahead of time, it's just one less thing you have to worry about. The other option is to give all of those envelopes of money to a good friend or a family member that you know you can trust with the money. Have them pay those vendors for you so that you don't have to worry about it. So that's a great thing to do as well. And then my last couple points here, I just want to encourage everybody not to sweat the small stuff. There's always going to be things that are going to go a little bit off, not going to be perfect. So it's good if you can just let some of those things roll off. There's little things that really other people aren't even going to notice. So when I see people get really worked up about these things, it's just, I don't want to see it take away from your experience of your wedding day. So if you can, try not to sweat the small stuff. If it's a huge thing, just ask for help and get somebody to work with you on that, and try your best to enjoy the actual day. And then the last thing, which seems like such a simple thing, is to smile. So I just want to remind everybody that this is such an exciting, beautiful time in your life. And I feel like sometimes people get so wrapped up in the details that they get frustrated and it takes away from it. And I think if you can actually just remember to enjoy it and to smile. And even on the wedding day, the morning of when people are getting ready, I find I have to constantly remind people to smile, even as I'm taking photos, because their mind is so busy that you can just see their wheels are turning and they're thinking about other things. And it's just nice if you can just take a breath and smile and take it in, and just remember to keep smiling, because when you get those photos back and you see that maybe you weren't smiling in a lot of them, you're going to be like, what was on my mind? Why was I so distracted? And it's just better if you can really try to take in the moment. So I don't see any questions coming in right now. Yeah, I love Laura's point here. Great point. Don't make the non-essentials essential. It's a great pointer. I love it. So if there are any questions, feel free to post below this video, and I will do my best to get back to them and comment on any questions that come in. But that's a wrap for today. So what I am trying to do for the next couple of weeks is I'm trying to bring in a wedding planner to give some tips and tricks and things to think about. I'd actually ideally like her to go through what she would keep in her emergency kit. I think that would be a fun post. I am totally open to any other options or any other questions that people might have. So if you do have other suggestions for videos, please let me know, and I will do my best to make sure that those things happen. So we'll see you again in 2 weeks at noon on the Tuesday. So have a great day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.